Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. It's Diane here, and today we're going to be painting some birds. How about that for a change? This is what I've been playing with today, and I'm going to show you how to paint an imperfect bird. I'm going to use any old watercolor, doesn't matter whether it's gouache or whether it's ordinary watercolor, transparent variety. And I'm going to be using, if I can find it, a pen. This is a Micron. This is a 0.5, something like that, something waterproof so it doesn't run when you use it, when it comes in contact with water. So we have here a mummy bird and her 4 little misshapen offspring, but they're perfectly imperfect. Thanks to Shader for that lovely expression. And this is how we're going to do it. So put that aside. Everybody says, you know, when people say, can you draw? Oh, no, I can't draw a straight line, can't draw a circle. Well, I don't want you to draw a circle. We've done circles, haven't we? We've done birds and circles, but today we're going to do irregular shapes. So do you think you can draw an irregular shape? Something which is lumpy and bumpy and isn't a circle? It's surprisingly hard, actually. But anyway, give it a go. And when you've done that, look at it and think to yourself, where shall I put the beak to turn this into a bird? I did one which was a similar shape to this. You'll find that, you know, psychologically you'll produce the same shape again and again. That one, and I put the beak up at the top. And on this one, I put it in the middle like that. But on this one, we could try and see what happens if we put it there. So we have a little bird. And then we're going to add the eye just by doing a spiral like that and then filling some of it in, leaving the little light for the eye, and then we'll give him an eyebrow. And then the thing about this technique is what I normally do since this morning. We'll give him a tail coming out of his bottom like that. And then I'm going to draw a sort of neckline, if you see what I mean. This is his head, and that line sort of delineates it. And then we'll give him a wing. And then we're going to divide the rest of his body into smaller segments like that. And then his leg comes out here. And we give him feet, always useful. Nice long legs and fat feet like that. Then we'll put him standing on some stony ground, just for a change, rather than those lines that we often use. And then we paint. So we put that to one side, and today I'm going to use water brush, and I think I'm going to use blues. So I've got blues and greens, I think. I've got some paint already in these little dishes that I squeezed out the other day, and I'm just going to wet it and make it work. And then I'm using gouache, but it could just as easily be any kind of watercolor. Anything, actually. You could use acrylic if you wanted to. You could use colored pencils or whatever. Really doesn't matter. And so I'm going to use blues and greens. This is because the paper is very, very absorbent, and it doesn't really work very well for transparent watercolor, I have found. So I'm giving him some nice colours so that I can do the embellishments on top when this is dry. And let me see. I think we need a darker blue. This is ultramarine. You can do whatever you want. At this stage, it doesn't look particularly impressive, if you like, but just keep going. And then we'll go back to green for make that nice dark green by mixing ultramarine with sap green. You're going to get a lovely dark teal-y kind of blue-green. You'll find that the water brush is very good for this because it doesn't give too much wetness to the paper. You can control what goes onto the paper a lot better than if you're using an ordinary brush. We're not aiming for anything remotely resembling accuracy or anything, just something cute. So give him some dots on this part of his head, I think, before we actually go ahead and embellish him. And let's give him an orange beak. And maybe he'd like orange legs. And maybe even an orange tail. People have asked questions about gouache. You know, can you reactivate it once it's dried on the surface? And yes, 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 yes. Yes, 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 yes. This gouache in this palette that I'm using, I haven't touched it for quite a few years. And as soon as I came to start using it again, it woke up and said, yippee. She's remembered me. My time has come. And the great thing about doing this is you can practice all the techniques and all the ideas that you thought, and use all the colours that you've wanted to use, but you've never been able to find the opportunity. I mean, how many times do you use Jaffa orange, for goodness sake, in a painting of a lakeside view? You just don't, do you? And if you put it in a sunset, it looks ridiculous. So, but here, doing something really whimsical and funky, you can do whatever and you can get all sorts of interesting effects that you didn't expect. You might not always like them, you might not want to repeat them, but you know, it uses up a bit of that paint. They're not expensive, these things. Right, I'm going to come in with a bit of white here because I want to put a white line around the bird's eye, like that. And on his beak. And if that's dry, I can start with the embellishments. So you can do whatever you like. Remember, when you're using these white gel pens, not to press hard. If you do, you'll get a broken line. If you don't, you'll get a better line. There's still sometimes a bit of a problem with the line, but mostly it's better if you do it like that. And my favourite spirals. We can outline the wing because we've kind of lost that with our colours. And we can sort of put a lacy effect around here. And what else can we do? We can do lines coming out in the wing. We could do dots, simple dots. And if by chance, perhaps, perchance, you don't like what you've done, you can paint over it. So, for example, if I said to myself, well, that was an interesting experiment, but I didn't like that. I don't like that, you could say. So you just paint over it, because with gouache, there is no such thing as a mistake. Well, there is, I suppose. If you want to change your mind, you could call it a mistake if you wanted to. But you can just paint over it. Another thing you can do too, if you feel that it's gone very dark and you don't like that, you could take a piece of paper once it's wet and just blot it, which will take it back to something which sometimes is quite fun. I think that one will be fine. And then maybe when that's dry, I might come in with a bit of gold or something like that. And that's still wet. So I'll have to let that dry and then I'll come back and finish him off. Okay, so that's dry. And so I'm going to divide the tail now into 3 feathers. So we'll do that. And then I think probably I'll just do some upside down V's coming down just to give it a little bit of lift. A little bit like sort of feathers, perhaps. There we are, so that's quite nice. That will do anyway. And I think we need to paint the ground, the stones on the ground, so we'll make them green. So just little dabs of green in there, just to match the body of the baby owl, if that's what he is. Do you think he's a baby owl? He could be, couldn't he? And he's obviously looking at something, so I'm going to grab a smaller pen and we'll give him, I think we might give him a bee up here to look at. So we'll just draw a nice little segmented bee with some wings coming out there, antennae, and his little legs. And there's obviously an eye there. And then we'll just pop in a little bit of colour there. I can never remember which bits of the bee are which colour. Do they start with yellow in the front or are they black in the front? Black and then yellow. Yeah, that's right. I think that one can go yellow and yellow. And then, of course, in between is something more on the black side. Don't want that to run, so we'll just give a bit of an indication there. And then his wings, obviously going to be just indicated with a little bit of blue like that. So there we are. So there's one chick looking at a bumblebee and wondering if that's lunch, and I would probably say probably not. Okay, so there we are. The idea of this is to start with an irregular circle, find the bird in it by putting in the beak, allow the bird to evolve. Once you start doing things like adding wings and tails, the bird will establish himself. He will emerge like a chick from an egg. So I'll let you go. Have fun with that. Do a whole flock of them. And don't forget to share them with the hashtag paintabirdaday. Hashtag paintabirdaday. Getting quite a collection of those. So watch out for them. I'll let you go now. Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.